Ladies and gentlemen, it is with great displeasure to inform you all that we have witnessed yet another epic failure of an event. I will say this does fall in the same league as Willy Wonka. It's not as big as Fire Festival, but it does go neck and neck with Willy Wonka, and you can let me know which of these two events was the worst by the end of this video in the comments down below. So before we get into the whole Detroit Bridgerton ball story, there is a video that I did on the Willy Wonka story that's kind of the near equivalent of this. So if you're interested in this kinds of things like failed events like DashCon, Fire Festival, and whatnot, I think the Willy Wonka experience would be a great video to look into if you want to catch up on that before you even tune into this video. But until then, the Bridgerton ball experience in Detroit is being called a scam. It was a complete chaos. It was all a ruse, you pathetic little ant. People really got finessed for their money, and we're going to dive into that real quick. A Bridgerton ball experience held in Michigan turned out to be a royal mess. Pictures on social media are going viral for an event on Sunday, which organizers billed as a chance for fans to step into the enchanting world of the Regency era for an evening of sophistication, grace, and historical charm. The reality says some attendees was a disorganized and bare bones event that left costumed attendees sitting on the floor amid vendors selling Kit Kats and watching a stripper who was hired as the evening's entertainment. The event was drawing comparisons to the infamous and unofficial Willy Wonka experience that earned global headlines back in March. So I did make a video on this, so that's why I kind of made that reference like, hey, if you kind of want to see what the Willy Wonka experience was like, you'll see why they're making these comparisons to begin with. Now, it sounds batshit crazy that you're going to this event that's supposed to mimic that of the experience of the Netflix popular TV series known as Bridgerton. I never seen Bridgerton, but I know Bridgerton is very popular, and there are many people that pay a lot of money to get into these kinds of events, and they also invest a lot of money into the costumes that they wear because they want to feel as if they're a part of the experience. They want to be more immersed into the experience, and you have all these vendors that promises that experience may be through entertainment, through food, through the whole atmosphere, and everything else. According to local station WBCK, the ball was not an official Netflix event. The streamer does have a touring event called The Queen's Ball, a Bridgerton Experience. According to the event's Spares 2's page website, this was the Detroit Bridgerton themed ball. Tickets were priced from $150 to $1,000. The way it was described was this would be a Bridgerton event, and we were going to have classical music, a good dinner, and there was going to be a play, and there was going to pick Diamonds the Season. I don't even know what that means. I'm not sure if that's like, you know, prom king, prom queen of the party or something like that. I don't know. Said one attendee in a report by local ABC affiliate WXYZ TV. They said they were going to give away all these prizes, and we went in and it's completely empty in there. Again, this kind of echoes the same experience that people had when they went to the Willy Wonka experience. You had all these parents and all these kids, some of which traveled long distances anticipating like the Willy Wonka experience, all these candy canes and gumdrops and gingerbread houses and all this chocolate, and then they walk in, it's just a vacant, warehouse with some decor here and there and like a meth head Oompa Loompa. It was complete chaos, said another in a report. They never even scanned our tickets. We paid to eat dinner, and there were random people all throughout the venue. My family and I just left the Detroit Bridgerton ball, wrote one attendee on Reddit who posted several photos. It was absolutely horrendous. There was nowhere to sit. Although the venue was nice, the decor was sparse and extremely tacky. It wasn't even Bridgerton themed. We spent $400 on tickets for a complete bullshit experience. I'm not gonna lie to you, spending $400 for an event like this is a lot of money. We're gonna talk more about this because I just read that, someone has all these photos and they have like a thread going on. We're gonna dive more into it because there is someone that made a thread about this whole thing, and they kind of give us more of like filler details on the whole situation, so we're gonna get to that in a bit. Besides the lackluster event itself, they promised a cash prize to the best dressed, didn't happen, that they choose a diamond of the season like they do in the show other Bridgerton inspired balls, didn't happen, and had the itinerary with contradicting information, penned another on Twitter. No one asked for our tickets, so we just walked in, wrote another on Reddit. All attendees looked absolutely decked out, but there was zero direction. We essentially followed the crowd to the third floor where we saw local freaking vendors selling goods like we were at a local festival. And after seeing people sitting on the floor in disappointment, my wife and I left. I can really only imagine how people feel about this. There are people that are really passionate about this show, or not even just the show, they just love the theme. You know, people love to dress up in fancy clothing and dresses and act like as if they're like part of like the loyalty or the what they call the Regency era. And I think it's okay to enjoy things like that. You know, it's like people dress up to go to like the Renaissance Fair. You wouldn't like it if you spent hundreds of dollars on the Renaissance Fair and the Renaissance Fair was like an absolute shit show. You would be livid when it comes to that. So the Bridgerton Ball is sort of like that same experience. I do want to make this clear, and I think this needs to be emphasized. This was not a Netflix sponsored event. Netflix had nothing to do with this particular event because Netflix has their own called the Queen's Ball, the Bridgerton Experience. What we're talking about here is the Detroit Bridgerton Ball. The event organizer, Uncle and Me LLC, by the way, that is a crazy name for an event organizer, by the way. Uncle and Me sounds wild. On Tuesday, released a statement to WXYZ. We understand that not everyone had the experience they hoped for at our most recent event Sunday night at the Harmony Club, and for that, we sincerely apologize. Our intention was to provide a magical event, but we recognize that organizational challenges affected the enjoyment of some guests. We take full responsibility and accountability for these shortcomings. Please know that we are working diligently to address all concerns to ensure that all guests have the enjoyable experience they deserve. We're committed to doing everything in our power to make this right. Yeah, there's a way you can make this right. Just don't host an event. Ever. Give people their money back, give them their money back, but don't host any event moving forward. And we're going to talk about that soon, because this is the reason why they shouldn't be hosting any events in the future. This isn't just me trying to be an asshole and everything. I've actually looked into this company, and I thought to myself, yeah, you guys should not be hosting any events to begin with. Y'all should stop while you're at it. So I do want to give credit to Rayleigh Arts on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call that social media platform nowadays, because they had made this whole entire thread and just read this entire event to filth. This person was basically just giving us like more details on the failure of the Detroit Bridgerton Ball, and on top of that, I did a little bit of deep digging, so we're about to get into like the gritty details of it all. Check it out. Rachel, or known as Rayleigh Arts on Twitter, will start by saying, for starters, never go to an event that's being run by Uncle and Me LLC. Disorganized, dishonest, and will take your money guilt-free. As you can see, there's already like an Instagram like screenshot of Uncle and Me. So let's dive into that. I took it upon myself to look into it and see what Uncle and Me LLC is all about. And there's probably only at most 4 pictures that makes a reference to the Detroit Bridgerton Ball. Everything else moving forward has nothing to do with it. And that's all they have. They only have like 3, 6, 9, 10 posts. That's really it. It's absolutely crazy. And some of which are events that has nothing to do with the Bridgerton Ball or anything like that. You could tell they don't have no experience or little experience behind hosting these kinds of events. It's absolutely crazy. But then I looked into their website, because they have their website linked onto their Instagram bio, and all there is this. That's it. Detroit Bridgerton themed ball. So then there's like a contact us page at the bottom where it's like, oh, you can put in your information, and that's about it. There is nothing else. Like this right here, this is not the Uncle and Me website. This is not. This is an event website. This is not a company website. Like, this is so terrible. Oh, a single look or glance on their Instagram page would tell you that no, this is not the company to host these kinds of events. There's something wrong here. Rachel would then continue to say the event was originally planned for August. It was canceled and rescheduled for September 22nd. I ended up getting sick and couldn't go. They did not provide refunds, nor did they respond to anyone's email asking for one. At that point, I knew I got scammed. I think it kind of sucks for someone to be sick and they couldn't get their money back. It's almost like a salt in the wound in some way. I looked into the post again that Rachel shared, and I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I am going to read the second part going down saying, due to unforeseen circumstances, Beacon Park, our original venue, has canceled our event as of Tuesday evening. The cancellation came after we received approval from both the city of Detroit and the fire marshal. Beacon Park, in conjunction with the castle, was initially chosen to accommodate all of our guests with a combined capacity of 10,000. In light of this, we have secured a new, larger venue that can comfortably accommodate all attendees and more. We apologize for any inconvenience this may cause, and we appreciate your understanding. Yeah, that's a lie. That is actually a lie. Check out this next tweet here. So Rachel will continue to say the company lied and saying that the original venue wouldn't accommodate their guests. So I guess it's a screenshot of a little conversation where Lexi says they originally tried having it at my job and we had to cancel it because they wouldn't pay the remaining money to rent the venue. And then Nita at the bottom says, oh, so that's why. They said y'all couldn't accommodate their guests. So you had this vendor, Uncle and Me, that kind of just threw this company or this venue under the bus, saying like, oh, they don't want to accommodate y'all, but don't worry, we got a much nicer venue, it's much bigger. These pics are from the Channel 7 news story about it, since I didn't actually go. Glad I didn't. People waited outside in the rain to get into an overcrowded first floor. That really sucks. And again, like I mentioned before, you had people that actually spent a lot of money on their clothes. Well into the event, there was nothing to do, people were bored, and just sat on their phones. The live music advertised was this poor lone violin player. Can we please play the world's smallest violin here for this event? Because this is atrocious right now. I feel so bad. And you can really tell Uncle and Me LLC really just pulled random shit out their ass and just took little chunks of shit that they pulled out and just threw it at the wall hoping that it would stick. That is literally what it's looking like here right now. The backdrops and decor on the Party City Dollar General level. Yikes, that is a burn. They didn't even pay the photographer, and the pictures were a hassle to get if you didn't have AirDrop. Ladies and gentlemen, that is it. Apple 1, Android 0. It's a wrap, y'all. The phone wars are over. If you had an iPhone, you would have got an AirDrop and got your photos. It's easy. All jokes aside, I'm not trying to start a phone war. Basically, this is terrible. This is a terrible experience all around because people actually paid for these events. They paid hundreds of dollars for these events. I think if we were to attend any event and if we spent hundreds of dollars into this event, into this party, and it was half-assed, yeah, we would be pretty disappointed because a lot of times people aren't just paying to go into a party. I know a lot of people will look at this and say, oh, why would you spend $100, $200 just to go to a ball or $1,000 to go into a ball? Like, people pay for the experience. That's basically it. Just because it's not valuable to you doesn't mean it's not valuable to the next person. But it's just really unfortunate that people just got scammed like this. Again, this is the Willy Wonka experience all over again. The food apparently ran out after an hour. Some was raw. No one was there to pick up plates, so you had to deal with strangers' leftovers yourself. This is insane. And to top it all off on this whole thing, like we mentioned like in the first part of like the video, the dancing they had was one stripper. And she's putting on a performance for all to see. A great performance indeed. I wish if I attended that event and I only spent like a few $100, I could have threw a little bit of singles in there. You know, hey, bring a little bit of character, have a little fun, just throw a little bit of singles there. I only kid, but it's absolutely crazy that the organizers of this event saw the whole Bridgerton Ball theme and said, yeah, let's have a violin, let's have a photographer, and you know what? Stripper. let's bring in strippers. I think it's actually crazy to throw in a stripper in a theme party like this. It is absolutely crazy. I feel as if that is such a desperate attempt to bring in entertainment into these kinds of parties. A Bridgerton themed party. And I'm gonna call it, I feel as if this woman is going to be sort of like the meth head Oompa Loompa that was kind of trending alongside the Willy Wonka experience. There are people who are probably going to like find her. I would really love to sit down, and if anyone finds her, let me know, because I would love to talk to her and ask her these questions. Like, did you know this was an event? Like, what did you expect when you first saw the pole in the middle of the venue, and all you see is people dressed in blazers and tights and dresses and whatnot, and you're just there in in a bikini or like in a two-piece, dancing on a pole. And finally, we end this thread. It's kind of a repeat from the article, besides the lackluster event itself, yada yada yada. But then she continues on to say, I really hope this ends in a lawsuit because I want my $300 back. I have medical bills to pay, and that could have gone towards something that wasn't this. LMAO. Before y'all call me gullible, I know I am. Still not my fault. Don't scam people. She's right. You know, don't scam people. That's really just it. I really hope Uncle and Me gives people their money back. And if they don't, I hope they're held accountable for something like this, because that's crazy that they got away with this to begin with. There were so many red flags from start to finish on this whole situation, and I'm surprised that it's blowing up now. Which event was the worst? The Willy Wonka experience or the Detroit Bridgerton Ball experience? If it was me, I would personally say that the Willy Wonka experience was the worst, only because I guess there's a little bit of like a nostalgia factor into it. Like, you have people that are going in for the nostalgia, and when you disrupt that nostalgia, when you tarnish that by making a half-ass event, yeah, that's kind of hit you in the feels. Plus, on top of that, the Detroit Bridgerton Ball had a stripper. I ain't disappointed if there's a stripper. But until then, guys, that's really all I have for y'all. Peace.